She said she was our HOA president. She wore the badge, carried the clipboard, and fined people like it was her full-time job. But the day I saw her slip cash from the community envelope into her own purse, that's when everything changed. Because what none of us knew was that she was never the president at all. And when the truth came out, the whole neighborhood turned against her. Hey everyone! Welcome back to HOA Stories, where we dive deep into the strangest, pettiest, and most unbelievable things that happen in suburban neighborhoods. I'm Mike, your friendly next-door neighbor, the guy who mows his lawn every Sunday, keeps his mailbox straight, and somehow ends up living through HOA nightmares like this one. If you've ever had an HOA trying to control your life, or if you've ever wanted to fight back, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button, and if you really hate corrupt HOAs, comment "Boo HOA" down below to join the rebellion. Now, grab a drink, because this one's gonna make you double-check your HOA president's ID badge. It started like every other normal week in Maple Grove Estates, the kind of place where lawns looked cloned, mailboxes stood in military formation, and gossip spread faster than fertilizer. We all like to think we lived in the nice part of town, the safe bubble where nothing bad ever happened. And that's exactly how she wanted it. Her name was Claire Henderson, or at least, that's what the fancy name tag said. She moved into Lot 17 right after the previous HOA board stepped down. Within 2 weeks, she called for a mandatory neighborhood meeting. I remember she stood at the cul-de-sac center with her clipboard, confident, polished, smiling that kind of smile that says, "I'm in charge and you're lucky to have me." She talked about community improvement fees and maintenance dues. She even printed official-looking letters with an HOA logo. Everyone clapped. No one questioned a thing. She collected our monthly dues in neat envelopes, promised a new playground, better lighting, faster trash pickup. And for a while, everything actually seemed perfect. Neighbors stopped complaining. The lawns stayed greener. The mailboxes gleamed like soldiers under inspection. But perfection has a smell. Too clean. Too controlled. It started small. First, Mr. Turner got a fine for leaving his trash bin out too long, except he hadn't. Then the Martins got a $75 penalty for unapproved paint color. Their house was beige, same as every other. When I asked Claire about it, she just smiled and said, "Rules are rules, Mike. You wouldn't want chaos, would you?" Her tone was calm, but her eyes, they had that glint, the kind that says she's enjoying this. Weeks went by. The fines increased. And Claire started driving a new silver SUV. Coincidence? Maybe. But when you're paying HOA fees in cash envelopes, coincidences start to feel like theft. Then came the 4th of July barbecue, our biggest neighborhood event. Claire, of course, hosted it. She wore that same blazer with the HOA logo, stood behind the donation table collecting event funds. I was on grill duty, flipping burgers and minding my own business, until I saw something I couldn't ignore. Claire took the stack of cash, thick, fresh bills from the donation jar, and slid them straight into her purse. No hesitation. No shame. Just smooth, practiced motion. My stomach dropped. Maybe she'd reimburse it later? Maybe it was for supplies? But then I noticed her purse already stuffed, envelopes poking out with neighbor names scribbled across them. She caught me looking. Our eyes met. For a second, her confident smile twitched. Then she lifted her glass of lemonade, fake toasted me from across the lawn, and mouthed the words, "Mind your business." That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying it, her smirk, the envelopes, the money. Was I paranoid? Next morning, I decided to check. I went online, searching for Maple Grove Estates HOA official board. What I found didn't exist. No active HOA. No president registered. No Claire Henderson listed anywhere in county records. My jaw actually dropped. Either I was crazy, or this woman had scammed our entire neighborhood. I printed the record. Walked straight to Mr. Turner's house. He didn't believe me, not until I showed him the site myself. Within an hour, 3 neighbors were standing in his driveway, whispering like spies. Mrs. Martins even brought her fine letters. The signatures looked fake. The official HOA stamp was literally misaligned, like it had been copied. We decided to test her. That evening, I went to Claire's house pretending to deliver mail. Her porch lights were on. Inside, I saw boxes labeled HOA files, but through the side window, I also saw stacks of cash, random receipts, and luxury handbags. I snapped a photo with my phone, proof. The next morning, the neighborhood was buzzing. People confronted her near the community board. She acted offended. "How dare you accuse your own HOA president?" she shouted, her voice shaking with fake outrage. But Mr. Turner pulled up the county records on his tablet. No HOA. No president. No registration. Her face went pale. Someone shouted, "You're a fraud." Another yelled, "Give our money back." Claire tried to walk away, clutching her clipboard. The envelopes fell, cash spilling across the pavement. Phones came out. Cameras clicked. It was over. But she didn't cry. She laughed. A slow, eerie laugh that echoed through the cul-de-sac. "You think you're the first ones I've fooled," she said. Then she backed toward her car, still smirking, and drove off before anyone could stop her. The next day, her house was empty. "For sale sign up." No trace left behind. Except for the hundreds of dollars she'd taken from all of us. And one strange note taped to the HOA board. "You wanted a leader. I just played the part." That night, as I stood by my mailbox, watching the sun dip behind the roofs, I couldn't shake the thought. How many other neighborhoods has she done this to? And more importantly, thought balloon, would you have noticed if your HOA president was fake too? The morning after she disappeared, the neighborhood didn't feel the same anymore. Silence hung heavier than the summer air. Her house, Lot 17, looked emptier than ever. Curtains gone. Furniture gone. Even the porch lights that used to glow every night were dark now. We all stood there, staring at it like it was a crime scene. Mr. Turner mumbled. "She played all of us, and we helped her do it." Nobody said a word after that. The HOA board notice she used to update every week was blank now, the same corkboard that once had meeting schedules and fine notices. Now, just one thing was pinned to it, that note. "You wanted a leader. I just played the part." It sent chills down my spine every time I read it. But here's the crazy part. 2 days later, a white van pulled into her driveway. The logo read, County Code Enforcement. A man in a beige uniform stepped out with a clipboard and started taking photos. I walked over. "Sir, you're a little late," I said. "She's gone. House is empty." He looked at me confused. "Gone? That's impossible. The homeowner filed 3 maintenance reports this week under her name." "What?" I asked, my heart thudding. He showed me his list, Claire Henderson's name, same address, same signature. Reported potholes, tree trimming, even a noise complaint. I felt dizzy. "She doesn't live here anymore," I said again. But he just shrugged and walked off, muttering something about double-checking the file. That's when it hit me. She was still using the address. Maybe not here, but somewhere. Maybe she was still playing her game, somewhere else, in another town. That night, I called the county records office. The woman on the line said something that made my stomach drop. "There's actually been multiple reports about a Claire Henderson running unregistered HOAs in 3 different neighborhoods," she said. "Same MO, fake badges, printed letters, cash payments, sudden disappearances." I remember gripping the phone tighter. "So what happens now?" "Well, officially, nothing," she said. "No one filed a police report. Without that, it's a civil issue." "Civil issue? She robbed an entire neighborhood, and they call it civil?" I hung up and walked outside. The streetlights buzzed softly. Everything looked normal, but it wasn't. Because now, we didn't trust anyone anymore. A week later, a moving truck pulled into Lot 17 again. A young couple got out, smiling, waving, full of excitement. "Hey neighbor," the guy shouted. "We just bought this place." I smiled back, but my gut twisted. The ghost of Claire's lies was still hanging in that house. That night, I heard a knock at my door. It was the new neighbor, Josh. He held out an envelope. "Hey man, this was in our mailbox. Says, HOA dues. Do you know where to pay this?" I froze. The envelope looked exactly like the ones Claire used. Same layout. Same logo. But here's the thing, it was dated yesterday. I took it, opened it slowly, and my hands went cold. Inside wasn't a payment slip, it was a message. "You can't silence a good president." My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it. Someone was still pretending to be her. Or maybe she never left. The next morning, I went straight to the post office. I showed the clerk the envelope. He scanned the code and frowned. "This was dropped off 2 towns over," he said. "Return address is fake." "Fake how?" I asked. "There's no such street." I left the post office, feeling that eerie sense of déjà vu again. Same scam. Same style. Same woman. When I got home, there were more envelopes, 3 of them, left on other mailboxes. All with the same message. All with her fake HOA logo. Neighbors started panicking. Mrs. Martin thought someone was stalking us. Mr. Turner installed cameras on his porch. I started keeping a flashlight and baseball bat near the door. It wasn't about the money anymore. It was about fear, the kind that creeps into your head and makes you question everything. 3 nights later, I woke up to the sound of footsteps. Outside, near the community board. Soft, slow, familiar. I peeked through my blinds and froze. Someone was standing under the streetlight, wearing a navy blazer. HOA badge shining. Clipboard in hand. They were pinning something to the board. I rushed outside, heart racing, adrenaline kicking in. But when I got there, the figure was gone. Only the paper remained. It read, "Maple Grove HOA, leadership reinstated. President, C. Henderson." The letters were typed. The signature, handwritten. I felt the blood drain from my face. Either someone was mocking us, or Claire was back, and bold enough to sign her name again. The next morning, everyone gathered around the board. Whispers. Confusion. Fear. Mrs. Martin said, "I saw a woman walking past our street last night. Looked just like her." Another neighbor swore he saw a silver SUV parked near the old mailboxes. I didn't know what to believe anymore. Then my phone buzzed, an unknown number. I answered. Silence. Then a voice I'll never forget said softly, "Still doubting your president, Mike?" Click. Call ended. I just stood there, cold sweat on my neck, staring at my reflection in the phone screen. Was she watching us? Was she nearby? Or was this just her game continuing, invisible, unstoppable? That evening, as I sat on my porch, the neighborhood looked picture-perfect again. Kids playing. Lawns mowed. The calm before another storm. And I realized something terrifying. She didn't just steal our money. She stole our peace. Every car that passed, every knock at the door, every envelope in the mailbox, now felt like her shadow. Because when someone pretends to have power, and the whole community believes it, that's not just a scam. That's control. Now tell me, thought balloon, if your HOA president disappeared tomorrow, would you even know who's really in charge? The phone call messed with my head for days. Her voice still echoed in my mind. "Still doubting your president, Mike?" I tried to convince myself it was a prank. Maybe one of the neighbors playing around. But deep down, I knew that voice. It was her. The same tone. The same calmness hiding something dangerous underneath. After that night, I stopped sleeping properly. Every small sound made me jump. Even the sprinklers starting at dawn felt suspicious. But I wasn't the only one losing it. Mr. Turner came knocking one morning with a folder full of printouts. "Look at this," he said, dumping the pages on my porch table. It was a list of HOA complaints and fraudulent activity reports, all filed under different neighborhoods. Oak Ridge Village, Silver Pines, Willow Creek. Different towns, same story. Fake HOA president. Cash collections. Disappearance. Everywhere she went, she left the same mark. Turner looked at me and said, She's a ghost, Mike. She plays a role, cleans out the cash, vanishes. Nobody ever reports her because it's always too embarrassing. He wasn't wrong. Nobody likes admitting they got fooled, especially not homeowners who think they're smarter than the rest of the world. But I couldn't just sit there. She'd called me. She knew where I lived. So, I decided to dig. First, I went through the photos I'd taken the night she was confronted, zooming in on every little detail. And that's when I noticed something I'd missed before. In the background, near her SUV, there was a sticker on the rear windshield. A small emblem, shaped like a sunburst, with letters around it. Golden Palm Properties. I looked it up online. Turns out it was a property management company, one that had been shut down 5 years ago for embezzlement. And guess who was listed as one of the employees? Claire Henderson. I felt the rush hit me like caffeine and fear mixed together. Finally, a lead. I drove to the old office address, a small, dusty strip building off a quiet road. The windows were tinted, the signboard half peeled off. But through the glass, I could see boxes stacked inside. One had a label, HOA Archives 2019. The door was locked, obviously. So I left a note, looking for Claire Henderson. Call me. And my number. When I got back home, my neighbors were gathered again near the community board. Mrs. Martin had received another envelope, same fake HOA logo, but this one had something new inside. A photo. It was our street. Taken from somewhere across the road, like someone had been watching us. On the back, it said, "Order restored. President." I felt my stomach twist. This wasn't just a scam anymore. She was playing psychological games. That evening, we decided to take matters into our own hands. We formed what Turner jokingly called Neighborhood Watch 2.0. But it wasn't a joke. Everyone was tired of being scared. We installed cameras, started patrolling after sunset, shared notes, photos, anything that felt off. And every night around midnight, we saw it. The same silver SUV. It would drive slowly through the cul-de-sac, headlights off, pause at the end, and disappear. We couldn't see who was inside. But we didn't need to. We knew. Turner tried chasing once in his truck, but by the time he hit the main road, it was gone. Days later, I finally got a call. A blocked number. Mike speaking. A woman's voice, older, professional. "You left a note at Golden Palm Properties," she said. "I used to work there too, and you're not the first person asking about Claire Henderson." I sat up straight. So she's real. You knew her. There was a pause. Her real name isn't Claire. It's Monica Hale. She used different aliases every few years. She used to handle HOA funds and bookkeeping until she got caught siphoning off deposits. Then she vanished. I asked where she might be now. The woman sighed. If she's resurfaced, she's probably already working her next neighborhood. She knows how to forge IDs, fake board licenses, even create fake websites. I could feel the blood rush to my ears. So she's been doing this for years. More than a decade, the woman said softly. Be careful. She's manipulative. She studies people before she strikes. That night, I called Turner again. We gathered in his garage. Him, me, the Martins, and 2 other neighbors. I told them everything. The fake name. The history. The property company. Mrs. Martin whispered. So she wasn't just after money. She likes control. And I think she was right. It was never about the cash. It was about watching us follow her orders, obey her fake rules, respect her fake title. Power, that's what she really wanted. We decided to try something risky. If she liked control, we'd take it away from her. We printed flyers with big red letters. Warning, fake HOA President scam, beware of Claire, Monica, Henderson. We put them in every mailbox in town. We posted them on the local Facebook groups, next-door pages, community boards. Within 24 hours, messages started pouring in. People from different cities, different states. Same pattern. Same fake HOA name. Same silver SUV. It was her. She'd been doing this all across the country. One man from Arizona even sent a photo, her picture at another meeting, holding a clipboard, smiling, surrounded by homeowners. Same blazer. Same fake HOA badge. Different name tag. Then, one night, we got our break. Around 11 p.m., Turner's cameras caught something, movement near the old HOA board. A woman in a dark jacket. Short blonde hair. Carrying a folder. She pinned something to the board again and walked away. Turner called me immediately. We ran outside, flashlights cutting through the dark. She was already halfway down the street when I yelled, "Claire!" She stopped, turned her head slightly, smiled, that same damn smile. Then she ran. I chased her, adrenaline burning. Her footsteps hit the pavement sharp and quick. She darted behind houses, past mailboxes, down the street. But when I turned the corner, she was gone. Like she'd evaporated. The only thing left behind was the paper she'd pinned. A president never quits. By morning, the police finally got involved. Turner handed over the footage, my notes, the printed reports. But you could tell they didn't take it seriously. Probably a local scammer, the officer said. You'll be fine. Fine. We were living in a psychological horror film in broad daylight. Even after that, people still got strange mail, HOA notices, fines, letters claiming leadership change. Each one signed, C. Henderson. No fingerprints. No leads. Nothing. I've moved on, kind of. We all did. But every time a new neighbor moves in, someone always jokes. Let's make sure they're not the next HOA president. We laugh, but it's not really a joke. Because I know she's still out there, somewhere, finding her next quiet suburb, her next batch of trusting homeowners, her next stage to play the role of president. And sometimes at night, when I check the mailbox, I swear I smell her perfume, that same floral scent she always wore. And the porch light flickers like it did that last night. Maybe it's just in my head. Or maybe she's watching again. Thought balloon, would you confront her if she showed up in your neighborhood, or pretend you didn't see her? The cops didn't leave that night until nearly midnight. They kept asking me the same questions over and over. Who gave her authority? Did anyone verify her background? Was there a real HOA at all? And each time, my answer was the same. I guess we just believed her. It sounded stupid the more I said it. Believed her smile. Believed the logo on her jacket. Believed the confidence in her voice. But that's how scams work, right? They make you feel stupid after they've already won. For the next few days, our peaceful street felt like a crime scene. Yellow tape still hung around her house. The blinds were pulled shut, the grass unmowed, a "for sale" sign ripped in half near the porch. Neighbors whispered like ghosts. Everyone wanted to act innocent, but I knew most of us had paid her something. Some gave hundreds. Some gave thousands. She'd promised community upgrades, new gates, and security cameras. But all she'd secured was our silence. A few of us gathered at my place one evening, sort of an emergency neighborhood meeting. Karen brought wine, Tom brought his laptop, and Linda came armed with every receipt she'd ever kept. Tom pulled up her name on the screen, Claire D. Jensen. He said he found 3 different addresses under that name. 2 in neighboring towns, 1 out of state. Each with HOA complaints filed online. Linda leaned forward, whispering like it was sacred information. She's done this before. I didn't want to believe it. But the photos didn't lie. Different towns, same face, slightly different hair color each time, but that same confident grin. That same clipboard. That same fake uniform with a polished HOA logo. It wasn't an accident. It was her job. The next morning, a detective called. He asked if I could come down to the station and give a formal statement. I agreed, though part of me wished I could just forget the whole thing. When I got there, he showed me a folder labeled Community Fraud, HOA Scam Network. Apparently, Claire wasn't working alone. There were 2 men she'd partnered with, one posing as an accounting officer, another as an HOA legal consultant. They'd hit at least 6 neighborhoods in our county. They'd build trust, collect maintenance fees, and disappear. And the wildest part? They sometimes returned months later, under different names, pretending to be replacements sent by the HOA board to fix the mess. That's when it hit me. We never saw her real ID. She used fake paperwork, fake invoices, fake everything. Even the HOA website she made had a domain registered under a fake LLC. The detective said something I'll never forget. These people study neighborhoods like hunters. They look for isolated, quiet communities, the kind where everyone's polite, but no one asks questions. That was us. Nice lawns, nice smiles, and way too much trust. Back home, the gossip kept growing. Karen swore she saw a car parked near Claire's old house late one night, lights off, engine running. Tom thought maybe one of her partners came back. Linda, on the other hand, was convinced Claire herself never left town. It's personal now, she said. She knows we're the ones who exposed her. I laughed nervously, but deep down, I believed it too. Because every night, when I turned off the lights, I felt watched. Sometimes I'd catch a glimpse of movement down the street, a shadow near the mailbox or a reflection in a car window. Maybe it was paranoia. Maybe it was guilt. Or maybe Claire wasn't done with us. A week later, something strange happened. The HOA website came back online. Same logo. Same design. Only now, it said, new management coming soon. I called Tom immediately. He checked the server records. It was the same IP address Claire used. She was taunting us. That night, someone slipped an envelope under my door. Inside was a single sheet of paper with the HOA logo printed on top. In bold red letters, it said, "You talk too much." No signature. No stamp. No explanation. Just that. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped it twice. I ran outside, but the street was empty, quiet except for the faint hum of sprinklers. I went straight to the police the next morning. They logged it, told me to install cameras, and to avoid escalation. But they couldn't protect the whole neighborhood forever. So I did what any paranoid homeowner would do. I bought lights, cameras, locks, alarms. Every night, I sat on my porch watching, waiting. And every night, nothing happened. Until one evening, around 2 a.m., I caught movement on my security feed. A figure walking down the street, slow and calm. Female. Wearing a dark jacket. She stopped in front of my mailbox, looked straight at my camera, and smiled. Then she walked away. The next morning, there was no trace of her. No footprints, no tire marks, nothing. Just the faint smell of perfume near the mailbox, that same scent Claire wore at every meeting. Something floral, almost sweet. I still don't know if she was really there, or if I was just seeing what I feared most. But later that day, the police confirmed something chilling. Claire's car had been spotted in the next town. Empty. Abandoned near a hotel. Inside, fake IDs, wigs, envelopes, a fake HOA badge. And a list of addresses. Ours was on it. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every noise made me flinch. Every shadow looked like her. And the scariest part wasn't that she'd stolen our money. It was that she'd stolen our peace. We weren't neighbors anymore. We were suspects, victims, and witnesses all at once. I started wondering if she'd always been watching, if she'd picked us from the start, knowing we were too friendly to question authority. Maybe that's why she chose our town. Because we didn't want conflict. We wanted order. And she gave us that, until she didn't. By the time the sun rose, I'd made up my mind. If Claire was out there watching us, I was going to make sure she saw that we weren't scared anymore. So I walked out front, hammered a wooden post into the ground, and stapled a hand-painted sign to it. Big red letters. Real HOA members only. No more scams. Within hours, every other house on the street had one too. It was like a silent rebellion. We'd been fooled once, but we weren't going to be quiet victims anymore. And deep down, I hoped she saw it. Now here's what I keep thinking about, and maybe you can answer this. If someone can fake being an HOA president that easily, how many other leaders in our neighborhoods are fake too? After that night, the street didn't look the same anymore. Every perfect lawn, every trimmed hedge, every smiling face, it all felt fake now. Like we were living inside a stage set. And someone had pulled the curtain. The only thing that felt real was the sign we'd nailed into the ground. Real HOA members only. It was messy, hand-painted, uneven, but it meant something. It was ours. By the weekend, Karen suggested we form a real HOA, for real this time. No scammers, no fake titles, no fancy logos, just the homeowners themselves. We met in my backyard, under the big oak tree. 10 of us showed up, all with notebooks, coffee, and too much suspicion. Linda brought her receipts, again. Tom brought his laptop, again. And I brought a box of donuts because I didn't know what else to do. We laughed awkwardly at first, trying to make it feel normal. But there was tension, thick and unspoken. Nobody trusted anyone fully anymore. Still, we started writing rules, real rules. No one could collect money without 2 signatures. No one could make major decisions alone. And most importantly, everything had to be public. Tom set up a new website, this time verified, transparent, linked to our names. Karen handled communications. And somehow, they voted me as acting president. I tried to refuse. I said, "Guys, the last thing we need is another president." But they laughed. Karen said, "Yeah, but at least we know you're real." The following week, I started noticing something strange. Every time I'd log in to our new HOA site, the traffic would spike from outside our state. Someone was watching the site, refreshing it, tracking it. At first, I thought maybe it was the county office verifying us. But when I checked the logs, one IP address appeared again and again, the same one from Claire's old website. She was still there. I told Tom, and he tried to play it off. "Could be a bot, man. Don't stress it." But I could see the same worry flicker behind his eyes. Then one morning, Linda knocked on my door. She looked pale, shaken. She held up a letter, white envelope, no stamp, just slipped under her door. It said, "Real presidents don't hide in backyards." That's it. No name, no signature. Just that same HOA logo printed faintly in the corner. I felt my stomach drop. We weren't just rebuilding the HOA. We were provoking her. The next few days were chaos. Karen's car tires were slashed. Tom's mailbox was filled with shredded paper, HOA flyers, torn to pieces. Someone even spray-painted "fake" on our new community sign at the entrance. We filed police reports. We installed more cameras. But she was always one step ahead. Every night, I could feel it, that same quiet hum of paranoia returning. That sense that our neighborhood wasn't ours anymore. One evening, while reviewing footage, I noticed something. A figure, short, wearing a hoodie, near Karen's car around 3 a.m. They weren't stealing. They weren't vandalizing. They were leaving something. I ran outside to check. Under her windshield wiper was a yellow sticky note. In neat, feminine handwriting, it said, "Nice try, Mr. President." I froze. Because only Claire ever called me that. The next day, I called the detective. He said they were still investigating. But she hadn't been officially spotted since the abandoned car. They suspected she was using a new identity, maybe even living nearby under a new name. That thought terrified me. What if she was renting one of the unsold houses on our own street? What if she was already back among us, smiling, waving, blending in? I started paying attention more. Faces, cars, deliveries. Every stranger felt suspicious. A week later, Karen organized our first official HOA cleanup day. We wanted to show unity, that we weren't scared. We picked up trash, repainted fences, replaced the vandalized sign. Everything felt peaceful again, almost normal, until we reached the old HOA office, Claire's former house. It had been empty for weeks, windows dusty, lock changed. But when we opened the mailbox, we found a small black USB drive. No note, no label. Tom plugged it into his laptop right there on the porch. The screen flickered. Then a video started playing. Claire's face filled the screen, calm, confident, smiling. She was wearing her same navy blue blazer, HOA badge shining. "Congratulations," she said softly. "Looks like you finally made a real HOA." She paused, tilted her head, smiled wider. "But tell me something, Mike, how real can it be when it was built on lies?" Then the screen cut to static. Everyone just stared. Karen's hand covered her mouth. Linda whispered, "How did she even record that?" Tom muttered something about deepfakes, but his voice trembled. I didn't say anything. I just stood there, staring at the frozen image of her face. She looked straight into the camera, straight into me. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about what she said. Built on lies. What did she mean? Was she just playing mind games? Or was there something we didn't know? A few days later, the detective called again. They'd found something new, a trail of payments from Claire's fake HOA account. Most were refunds she sent to herself. But one of them, one single transfer, was labeled Mike H. Reimbursement. My name. I never got that money. I never requested it. But according to the bank, I'd been paid over $2,000 by her. Weeks before she disappeared. That's when I realized she'd used my name in her system. To make it look like I was part of it. And now, I was the one under investigation. When the detective asked if I'd known her personally, my throat went dry. I didn't. At least, I thought I didn't. But the more I thought about it, the more I remembered things that didn't make sense. How she always parked right across from my driveway. How she'd sometimes wave before I even stepped outside. How she once said, "You'd make a great president someday." Maybe that wasn't a compliment. Maybe it was part of her setup. Now the neighbors look at me differently. Polite smiles, but distant eyes. Like they're wondering if I was in on it. I can't blame them. If I were them, I'd wonder too. The trust she broke didn't just vanish with her, it stuck to me. Every whisper, every side glance. I can feel it. So I've stopped going to meetings. Stopped checking the cameras. Stopped sleeping much, honestly. Because sometimes, when I close my eyes, I still see her smile in that video. And I still hear her voice saying, "Nice try, Mr. President." Now I can't tell anymore. Was she gone? Or had she just changed her face again? And more importantly, what if the next neighbor to move in is her? What do you think? If someone fooled an entire neighborhood once, could they do it again right under our noses? I thought it was over. I thought after that USB video, the worst had already happened. But I was wrong. The next morning, 2 police cars pulled up in front of my house. Lights off. Engines humming. I was drinking coffee on the porch when they stepped out. One of them, Detective Hall, the same guy who'd been handling Claire's case. The look on his face told me everything. This wasn't a friendly visit. They asked me to come down to the station. Said it would only take a few minutes. Those few minutes turned into 3 hours. They showed me bank records, all linked to Claire's fake HOA account. Transfers, withdrawals, receipts, every one of them had my name. Some even had my signature. I swore I never touched that money. Never saw those papers. But the detective's eyes said he wasn't sure anymore. He leaned back in his chair and said quietly, "Mike, either you helped her, or she used you." I didn't know which one sounded worse. When I got home, the whole street felt colder. People were outside, but no one looked at me directly. Karen avoided eye contact. Tom waved half-heartedly. Even Linda, the one who'd started all this with me, crossed the street instead of walking past my house. That hurt more than the police visit. You'd think being the guy who exposed a scammer would make you a hero. But in our town, people only remember the drama. Not who caused it, but who was closest to it. And that was me. That night, I sat in my living room with the lights off. Just me and the sound of my security cameras clicking softly. Frame after frame, empty street, glowing street lamps, swaying trees. At 2:37 a.m., one of the cameras glitched. Static for half a second, then nothing. When it came back, I saw it. A shadow, someone standing near my mailbox again. Not moving, just standing. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it. I zoomed in. The figure was wearing a hoodie, and taped to the mailbox was another yellow sticky note. I ran outside barefoot. The street was empty, but the note was real. In the same neat handwriting, it said, "They'll believe what I tell them." I didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, I called Detective Hall. He sounded tired. Told me they'd traced the note's handwriting to similar samples from Claire's old documents, but nothing concrete. They still couldn't find her. No digital traces. No sightings. It was like she'd disappeared again. Except she hadn't. Because she was still here. Messing with me. Turning my own neighborhood against me. That weekend, Karen knocked on my door. Her face was red, furious. She held up her phone, showing messages that had been sent to the HOA group chat from a number using my name. The text said things like, "Let's rebuild the fund. I'll handle the collections. I can take care of the website costs. Please send payments directly to me so I can forward them." It even had my old profile picture. My email signature. But I never sent them. Someone, Claire, was pretending to be me now. I tried to explain. I even showed her my phone. My message logs were clean. But she didn't want to hear it. "You know what's crazy, Mike?" she said, her voice shaking. "She warned us about people like you." I froze. "She who?" Karen's voice softened. "Claire. In one of her old emails, she said if anyone ever tried to take her place, it would probably be someone close to her." I couldn't believe it. She'd predicted this. Planted it like a seed, waiting for the right moment to bloom. Now that moment was here. By Monday, half the neighborhood thought I'd turned into the next scammer. The same people who'd trusted me to rebuild the HOA were whispering behind fences. They'd stop talking when I walked by. Or worse, smile too sweetly. That fake kind of nice that feels like venom under sugar. I tried to fight it. Tried to send proof to everyone. The police reports, the hacked messages, everything. But the damage was done. In a small town, rumors travel faster than truth. Then, one afternoon, I saw something that made my skin crawl. A moving truck in front of house number 23, the one that had been empty for months. A woman stepped out of the truck. Short, blonde, sunglasses, confident walk. I watched her laugh with the movers, giving directions. And for a second, just 1 second, I caught a glimpse of her face when she turned toward me. Claire. Or someone who looked exactly like her. I blinked. She was gone inside the house. I waited all day, pretending to water my lawn, just to catch another glimpse. But the blinds stayed closed. That evening, I got a text. Unknown number. Just 3 words. "Miss me yet?" I dropped my phone. It was her. It had to be her. I called the police, again. They said there was no record of anyone named Claire Jensen renting that house. The new tenant's name on the lease was Melanie Hart. Fake ID. Fake name. Same woman. And this time, she was my neighbor. I told the HOA group chat immediately. Sent photos, details, everything. But no one believed me. Tom texted back. "Mike, please stop. You're making everyone uncomfortable." Karen said, "We can't keep chasing ghosts. Let it go." They thought I was paranoid, delusional, obsessed. Maybe I was. But that didn't mean I was wrong. For days, I watched her house. Lights on at night. Curtains moving. Once, I swear I saw her silhouette near the window. That same confident stance. Then, one night, I got a notification from one of my cameras. Motion detected. When I opened the feed, I froze. The camera pointed at my front door showed a small box. Someone had left it there. I didn't touch it for 10 minutes. Just stared at it through the peephole. Finally, I picked it up, slowly. Inside was a stack of fake HOA flyers. My own face printed on them. Underneath it, bold red letters. "Trust your real president." She'd done it again. Turned the tables. Made me the villain. The next morning, I woke up to something worse. The entire neighborhood was covered in those flyers. On mailboxes. On fences. On the community board. everywhere. Some had been burned at the edges, like she wanted to make them look dramatic. And at the bottom of each flyer was her old HOA logo, stamped in gold. It was chaos. Tom called an emergency meeting. Everyone showed up, except me. They didn't invite me. From my window, I could see them all standing together in my yard, pointing at my house. Talking, shaking heads. Karen crying. Linda looking disappointed. And then the detective's car showed up again. That was the moment I realized. I wasn't the hunter anymore. I was the story. By nightfall, I sat alone again. Same dark house. Same silence. Same cameras humming. And I kept thinking, maybe this was her revenge all along. Not stealing money. Not pretending to be president. But making me the new villain. Maybe the best way to destroy a neighborhood is to make them destroy one of their own. And now I keep asking myself this one question. If everyone believes a lie long enough, doesn't it eventually become the truth? It's been 2 weeks since Melanie Hart moved in. 2 weeks of watching. 2 weeks of trying to prove she's really Claire Jensen. And in those 2 weeks, my life completely fell apart. The HOA voted me out. Police stopped returning my calls. Even Linda, the one person who used to believe me, blocked my number after saying, "Mike, maybe it's time you let it go." But I couldn't, because I knew. I knew the woman living 2 doors down was the same person who destroyed our neighborhood. Last night, I finally decided to end it. I waited until 11:58 p.m., when the street went quiet. No cars. No dogs barking. Just that heavy suburban silence. I grabbed my phone, turned on the camera, and started recording. Not for YouTube. Not for anyone else. But because I needed proof, in case something happened to me. As I walked across the road toward house number 23, the night felt heavier than usual. Even the air smelled different, like rain and burnt paper. I reached her porch and froze. Through the window, I could see her sitting at the dining table. Laptop open. Stacks of papers beside her. Her hair pulled back, just like before. And on the table, that same gold HOA logo. My hands were shaking. I hit record again and whispered, "Got you." I knocked once. No answer. Knocked again. She looked up and smiled. Not surprised. Not scared. Just that calm, slow smile that used to make everyone trust her. She opened the door halfway. "Mike," she said softly, "you look tired." Her voice hadn't changed. That fake sympathy, that practiced warmth. "What are you doing here?" I asked. "Planning your next scam?" She tilted her head. "Scam? Oh, Mike, you still think that's what this is?" I stepped closer. "You ruined people's lives. You lied, stole, disappeared, and now you're pretending to be someone else." She just smiled again, stepping back into the light. "I didn't lie," she said. "They just didn't listen." I pulled out my phone, recording her face. "This is Claire Jensen," I said, "the fake HOA president who stole from this neighborhood." She interrupted. "I was the HOA president, Mike. You made them forget that. But I'm here to remind them." I frowned. "You were never elected." She laughed quietly. "Oh, honey, everything's an election when you're good at telling stories." Then she leaned closer, whispering like it was a secret meant only for me. "You think I wanted their money? No. I wanted their attention. And now I have all of it again, thanks to you." That sentence hit me like a punch. "Thanks to me?" She continued. "You did the one thing I couldn't. You made me famous. You told everyone my name. You turned my disappearance into a mystery. You made me the story." I couldn't breathe for a second. She was right. My videos, my posts, my obsession, they'd kept her alive in people's minds. She smiled wider. "Now they're bored of you, Mike. You've become the crazy neighbor who cries wolf." "And me? I'm the woman who came back from the dead." Before I could respond, there was a flash, her phone camera. She'd been recording too. She said sweetly, "Smile for the neighborhood, Mr. President." And then, like a practiced actress, She began shouting, loud enough for anyone nearby to hear. "Stop harassing me! Leave my property! Someone call the police!" I backed away, stunned. Her voice carried through the still night, echoing off the houses. Lights turned on one by one across the street. I could already see curtains moving, phones lifting, people filming. She stood in her doorway, tears in her voice, playing the victim flawlessly. "Please. I've told him to stop." And just like that, I knew I'd lost. The police arrived within 10 minutes. Detective Hall looked tired when he saw me. "Mike," he sighed, "we talked about this. She's Claire Jensen." I shouted, "Check her laptop, check the files." He held up a hand. "She's a registered resident, has paperwork under the name Melanie Hart. We've verified it twice. You need to stop this." She stood behind him, pretending to be scared, arms crossed protectively. Her eyes met mine for just a second, and in that second, she smirked. I wanted to scream. But no one would have believed me anymore. They told me to go back home, to get some rest. But I couldn't. At 3:21 a.m., I got an email. No sender name. No subject line. Just an attachment, a short video clip. When I opened it, my heart stopped. It was me. Recorded from her doorbell camera. Standing there, shouting, looking wild. The clip ended with her crying and me stepping forward. The caption said, "This is the man who tried to destroy me." She'd already posted it. And it had thousands of views. By morning, my mailbox was full again, not with flyers, but with letters from residents demanding my removal from the community. The HOA sent an official notice that I was temporarily suspended from all community privileges pending review. They called it administrative procedure. I called it what it was, her final move. Claire had done it. She'd rewritten the story. Now I was the villain. For the next few days, I stayed inside. Didn't go out. Didn't open the blinds. Every time I checked online, another post appeared. Memes, fake screenshots, edited clips. Each one painted me worse. Unstable. Aggressive. Dangerous. And the more people believed it, the less real my truth felt. Until one night, everything changed. I woke up to the sound of sirens. Loud, close. Flashing red light filled my room. I ran to the window and saw smoke pouring from house number 23. Her house. Fire trucks arrived within minutes. Neighbors rushed out in panic. The whole street was chaos again. Someone shouted that they saw a person inside, a woman, but when firefighters broke in, the house was empty. No Melanie. No Claire. Just ashes and the faint outline of a laptop melted into the table. And right in the middle of the front yard, half-burned but still visible, was that gold HOA logo. The investigation ruled it electrical malfunction. But I knew better. There were no signs of her anywhere. No body, no car, no flight records. Once again, she was gone. Just like last time. A week later, I decided to leave town. Packed my things quietly, no goodbye notes. As I was loading the car, I noticed a small white envelope under my windshield wiper. My name written on it, in that same neat handwriting. I opened it slowly. Inside was a single business card. White, clean, with a new logo on it. It said, Community Relations Consultant, Claire J. And at the bottom, New Neighborhood. New Start. I felt the air leave my lungs. She wasn't gone. She'd just moved on. To another town. Another story. As I drove away, the streetlights flickered behind me like fading memories. The same people who once called me a hero now avoided even saying my name. And I realized something chilling. Maybe that's what she wanted all along. Not money, not fame, but control over the story. She didn't just scam us financially. She rewrote our reality. She became the real president again, not through power, but through perception. And perception is everything. Now, every time I drive through a quiet neighborhood, I look at the HOA boards. Every smiling president photo. Every neat little welcome home banner. And I wonder, how many of them are actually her? Sometimes, I get late-night emails from addresses I don't recognize. They're always blank, except for one line at the bottom. Tell them, Mike. Tell them I'm real. I delete them every time. But deep down, I know she's still out there, moving from one place to another, rebuilding her little empire of trust. Because once you've learned to manipulate a community, you never stop. So here's my question to you. If the person who runs your neighborhood suddenly disappeared, would you even know who's really in charge?